There's a Hebrew expression. How many of you speak Hebrew here? A little bit? You know shalom?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you speak Hebrew? There's a Hebrew expression, "Letaken et haolam lavo hena," that you are born not to live, but to fix the ills of the world.
I first met Zev in 1997.
I met Zev Weiss shortly after I was hired around 13 years ago.
He showed up in my office one day. He basically came in and said to me, "There's not a course on the Holocaust here at Northwestern, and there should be, and I'd like you to teach it."
Some of his requests were a bit extreme, and he wasn't a guy that was easy to argue with. It was easier to simply say yes to Zev before he even asked the question.
The truth is that from the very moment I started my PhD, essentially, till just recently, and even after his death, he has had an incredible impact on me.
We attended synagogue together on Saturday mornings, and I sit in the front left and he sat in the back right. I still turn my head and I look for him.
I don't remember before I went into camp what type of personality I had. I was 11 years old. You know, I liked football, I liked no, I didn't like baseball. That's an American sport.
Zev looked the part that fate had cast him in. Zev looked like someone who had been through Auschwitz.
Time does not heal everything. Time turns it into memory.
1997 was my first encounter with Zev, and in those 25 years, I only ever heard fragments of his story. He was a young man who lost his entire family, lied about his age, managed to survive that way and do work detail.
His mother and his sister, I think, died upon arrival at the camp. His father survived some of the time with him. And his whole life was determined by recovering from this and also at the same time getting other people to care.
Now, why am I here? I'm here because I'd like you to think why would human beings do to other human beings what was done to us.
What Zev did in founding the Holocaust Educational Foundation was extraordinary. I mean, it was against all odds. If universities had wanted to teach it, they're bright enough to have known, but they didn't. And Zev kept coming back and wouldn't take no for an answer. I think Peter was teaching perhaps at Harris Hall, and Zev literally stood outside the building at the end of class and he put the question to him. Who would you like if you picked any history professor? And I think the students, to a majority degree, spoke well of Peter. So Zev conducted his own poll.
We started with the one course. He then went to Notre Dame, not too far away, 90 minutes east. And then it really grew like Topsy.
Zev was the Pied Piper. Indeed, he traveled all over the country encouraging universities to participate, and I think he had great success.
The last number I heard is that we're up to about 500 courses at colleges and universities, behind which the impetus was Zev and the HEF. The gift that keeps on giving is these programs and the way in which they do things that he could never have imagined.
You were born not to live, but letaken et haolam, to improve the world. So when you leave the world, you will have left a better world behind you.
Zev put the issue back to us. It wasn't Zev, it was Zev turning it to other people and saying, what are you made of?
And that's the task that you and your children is to really live.
Zev's legacy is certainly the HEF, but I would also say that Zev's legacy is me. It's my colleague who went on the Poland trip and her graduate students. The Holocaust Educational Foundation is a structure, it's an institution, it's an organization. But all the people that were and are and continue to be and will be involved in it are his legacy.
Zev's passion in keeping the Shoah, the Holocaust, in the minds of the public, I really always believed made him as close to God as you could get. You know, there's an old saying that you die twice, once when you pass away on earth and the other time when no one again speaks your name. I think because of Zev and Alice and all those scholars and all the wonderful people and donors who've supported that mission, those people will always be remembered.
All right, thanks. Shalom.